Hey everyone, we are here with realtor partner, full-time agent, mom, flipper, wife. I mean, she's all the things. Mel Davis. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thank you.
Okay, question. And I think so many people can relate to this. You're a full-time realtor. You're a full-time mom. Mm-hmm. You're a full-time wife. You're doing a flip. I mean, let's just add one more thing to the list. Oh, you work out every day. Why not? Just keep going, keep going. But I want to take us back to the time where you were not a full-time realtor. Mm-hmm. You have a very long, successful career in what we would categorize as corporate America. And you were part-time at one point. Mm-hmm. How can you talk about that journey for agents to hear, like, what did it take for you to go full-time?
That's a great question. So yeah, I did. I had my license for a while. I part-timed it and was in corporate America and realizing that I had everything that I had asked for in my corporate job, except I wasn't happy. Mm-hmm. I just wasn't happy. Yep. I had wanted to go full-time pre-pandemic, and it just didn't work that way. And as I was just listening to what was happening around me, and then I was following you for quite some time.
Yeah.
And I started to hear the message and realized that I want to be in real estate full-time. Like, this is what I want to do. I want to help people. And this is a way I can do it. And so I just started making the plans. You and I had our chat.
We did.
And I met with Justin, and it just made sense. I said, okay, this is what we're going to do.
So it was just blind faith and saying, you know what? If not now, when?
Exactly. Because it's never going to be perfect. It will never be the perfect time. And I think that's the one thing I had to really wrap my head around. Like, there's always going to be something. So if this is what you want to do and this is what you're passionate about, just go do it.
Yes. Just eliminate the excuses. They're always going to be there.
Exactly.
So don't even consider them in the decision point, right? And I love what you said. There's no perfect time, because they're in life, right? Think about when we have children. Nothing's perfectly planned out. You do the best you can, but let's be honest, it really never goes according to plan.
Oh, no.
I don't have one child in my life where it was like right on time.
Got it. Exactly. Or if they're right on time, everything else is,
something else
there's no other thing in the guidebook.
I love that, because I think that's important. It is probably the number one thing I hear, our business development manager hears, on people sitting down thinking, I want to do this. I'm pulled to it. It looks exciting. I feel passionate about that whole idea, but I'm too scared. I'm too scared to leave the safety net of corporate behind. And I love that you said, like, it wasn't that corporate America was bad. You had a great job.
Yeah.
You were very successful.
20 years.
Yes.
So, but I was unfulfilled.
Yes. I know exactly what you're talking about. I was right there with you. Yeah. Same exact thing, where it was like, everything's fine. Nothing's wrong per se.
Right.
I just think there's more I could experience that would be more fulfilling. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps part-time agents or even people looking at coming into the industry, because I know commission only scares a lot of people. We're so designed to say, like, we need the safety net. We need the kind of droves of how traditionalists have gone about it. We live in the automotive capital. Mm-hmm. I mean, corporate is born and bred in Michiganders.
Oh, yeah.
So hopefully that helps people say, like, there is no perfect sign out there. There's no perfect anything. It's just saying, I bet on me and I'm ready to do that.
Ready to do it.
Yeah.
Put in the work.
Yes.
Let's go.
That's it. I think once you hit that threshold, and I'm curious if you hit that point with yourself where you're like, okay, the bet is on me. I know I'm aligned with the right people in the right place. Mm-hmm. But really, this just comes down to me, my work ethic, my discipline, what I'm willing to give it. And I know myself well enough to know, like, all in, here we go.
Yep. Once I put my mind to it, you're not going to stop me.
That's it. Yes. And those make the most successful realtors over time, right? Is truly when they realize, like, it's just me.
Right.
That's it. I've got to show up. I've got to do the work. And if that's all I have to be promising, like, okay.
That's easy.
I control that.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's obviously a tough market out there. It's shifted in a way that I would say even back in 2008 and 2009 was nowhere near as difficult to procure new business. Different hardships, but procuring new business today, much harder. And even so, in this marketplace, you're like, yeah, no problem. Bet on me. I'm going to go ahead and acquire a flip and still be a full-time realtor. What are you finding as an agent that you know you cannot let go of? No matter what, no matter how busy life gets, no matter what comes up against you, your job as a realtor, what are things that you have noticed in this marketplace that you're like, yeah, before I could let that slide a bit, but today, no way.
It's lead gen in whatever form, right? Like I try to make sure I'm on the social media so that people don't forget about me while I'm busy working on my flip,
Yes.
right? I want to still be present and take them on that journey so they know I know houses.
Yes.
And it's just sitting down and making the calls, the emails, all of that. That's the one thing in this market that you cannot give up. People have to know that you're here.
Yes.
And the second that you let them forget, they move on to somebody else.
Right. And I think in our business, the fact that we're in a relationship business, right? Like we do people work. We're not actually selling a house. Marketing sells houses, gets people through the door, right? And the person chooses. It's not like we can swindle somebody into a 4-bedroom, 2-bath colonial.
Right. When they're looking for a two-bed. Yes.
And they're like, I was looking for a townhouse. We're like, no. Yeah. It's based on lots of factors that are very relative to that particular client. And ultimately they have to choose. So I love the fact about lead gen is if you're not willing to start a relationship, like the idea that you're going to be here for the long haul in a long-term relationship game,
It's not going to happen.
it's not there. Like it's a people business. It's why I'm seeing, and tell me what your thoughts are on this. I would love to hear it because how many months have you been in the business full time?
Full time. So what it's July. So what, 15, 19...
Yeah, like a
19,
year and a half is
yeah,
where I peg.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
a year and a half, long enough where you've got a little upmarket in there. You've definitely got shifting towards this marketplace in there. Agents today, I think, need leads without a doubt. How do you feel? Because you've been privy to conversations. It's happening all over the country where agents are feeling the heat of not being able to procure new business and they're running in droves towards leads only. As an agent, what are your thoughts on that?
I can understand why agents would gravitate towards that, but it's not a long-term game, right? I want to build a relationship. I want to help Joe and Sally buy their house. And then when their mother-in-law wants to sell their house, they think, oh, Melissa was so great. Mel was so great. She helped me. She did this, she did that. She spent hours doing Zoom calls with me so I could find my home while I was moving from Washington to Michigan. That's where I get my fulfillment is the relationship part of it.
Yes.
That's
the sustainability.
yes.
Right.
Like that's what I enjoy. That's what makes me happy.
Yes.
So-
I couldn't agree more because I've been in both houses, right? I've been in a house where it's lead driven only. I've helped sales teams grow where they're lead driven only. Obviously our business here, we've ebbed and flowed with different types of lead sources throughout our entire career. And the one thing I see with agents who have been in that type of business only, leads only, is it is transactional and there is no repeat business. So you take that agent out of that source and they don't know how to do business anymore.
Right.
And to me, that's so startling because if you want to be here for 10, 20 years and you want longevity to that type of income and lifestyle, you have to be a relationship builder.
100%. I mean, because that's how you build the business, right? That's how do I go back to Joe and Sally in 3 years if they were just a transaction?
Right.
They don't remember me.
1 of 10,
Yes.
right? That you hustled through because you had to be picking up the phone and
all
taking
the
the
time.
new lead.
And
And
it's
conversion
burnout
rate
from
is
that.
really important.
Yes. Yeah, there's burnout from that too. Like
sure.
constantly running around with a chicken with your head cut off.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable.
Right. Agreed. I love that because that's an important piece to certainly how I believe business should be done in real estate. What's your favorite part about real estate?
I love people. Like everybody has a story. And it's always, I'm always grateful to be a chapter in their story. Right. And that's the fun part.
Yeah.
Finding the house is secondary to just working with the people and finding what they need and what their next, big milestone is in their life. It's downsizing, it's upsizing, it's moving, from state to state or whatever that is. I get to be a part of it. And that's really why I'm in this business.
Yeah, I love that. And I love even piecing together parts of you saying like, hey, when Susie and Tim buy a home, I want to help their mother-in-law, and then I want to help their cousins and their children one day. And using the analogy of chapter, I've always looked at real estate transactions, if you boil it down to that, as part of that chapter. It's like a book, right? And you get to be like a brand new character in this book, and it's in one chapter only. And then you kind of, after that, the post piece of the relationship of keeping up and checking in and helping them understand you're here to help them with home ownership now. Like it wasn't just about the transaction. Is like weaving in and out of the forever chapters of their life. And you're in all these different books. Am I crazy? Does that sound wild?
No, that's 100%.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's how I've always envisioned it. Like another book on the shelf, another book on the shelf. And you get to revisit those chapters.
Right.
And then sometimes write a new one where you're like, oh, I'm helping the grandchild now, or the cousin or the neighbor. It's just so cool. When you look at the difference between buyers and sellers, and you've helped both, you help both, what piece of advice would you give to buyers today?
Be patient. Be patient. It's hard. It's not an easy market to navigate through right now. And while we're maybe shifting towards there's a little more, inventory on the market, you still have to be patient. And you may not find the house exactly at the moment you want to, but that means the house that you're supposed to get is coming your way.
It's coming. Yeah.
So
again, that blind faith. Blind faith.
And that doesn't happen without relationships.
Yes. Thank you. I was just going to go there. How can you expect a client to trust the process with you if you haven't built the trust with them from a relationship standpoint? That's where you get those tumultuous relationship transactions that are just headaches to go through. Trust wasn't built.
Yep.
Love that. Now, on the flip side, sellers, what is it that you're finding is their biggest challenge today? Rather than like, obviously they hold a lot more cards than our buyers in some cases. That's not really a challenge for them. So if we had to find a challenge that sellers are coming up against, what would you say that is?
Because they are in a market where they hold all the cards, is having an overinflated value of their home and talking them through what does that really look like? And yes, you want X, but how about we start at Y? Or we start at, what's the letter before X?
I know, right? You have to go backwards there.
And we can get you there.
It's W. It just came to me.
Yeah. I can usually say the alphabet backwards too. I was like, I can't do that fast enough. But we can potentially get you there.
Right.
We have to be realistic.
Yep. Now, do you find that that's a harder conversation for them to adopt, or are they more willing today?
I think it's a harder conversation because they're emotionally invested in their home, right? I raised all my kids here and this and that and the other. And my neighbor's house, that's
My neighbor
5,000 square feet bigger than mine, sold for $200,000 more.
Yes.
So it's, it's finessing that conversation to say, yes, your house is beautiful and it's great and someone will love living here, but we want as many people to come see it. So we need to be realistic about our price point and then let the market push us up from there.
Yeah. I hope sellers hear you. Like when they listen to this podcast, I hope what sellers hear is you too want to get the most money for their property. That is as important to you as it is to them. And in order to do that, there is strategy. And I hope over time that sellers, when they start working with more professional realtors, as the skilled market kind of dissipates in the onesie-twosie realtors, that they start feeling a difference in that conversation where a professional realtor like you shows up and you're like, okay, you want to get $500K for your house. It is possible. That is above market rate with demand where it's at. We could get there. And here's the strategy. So sellers, listen up.
Yes. Yes.
As a family woman, What is it that you could say this career has afforded you as a family woman?
Flexibility.
Talk to us about flexibility. What's that look like?
So, corporate America is so, well, I want to say 9 to 5, but that's not actually how it works, right? It's 8 to 8 or 7 to, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. I can do my business from anywhere, right? So if I need to take my little one to a doctor's appointment at 3:00 in the afternoon, it's okay. Like I know that, and I can schedule all my appointments around that. And if a client has a question, I can text, I can be where I need to be when I need to be there.
I like that. Yes.
And that was really freeing for me. There's no anxiety around that, right?
Yep.
And if you tell a client, hey, I got to take my little one to a doctor's appointment, they're like, oh, okay, just get back to me, because they know I've already built that trust that when I say, okay, I'll get back to you in an hour, that's what I'm going to do.
Going to get back to them.
Right? So the flexibility is fantastic as a mom.
Yes.
It's huge.
Yeah, I agree. Did you feel that was a skewed perception as you entered the industry? Did you feel, because I feel like there's a difference between fresh and new, very young agents, and we are not old by any means.
No,
we are not at all. However, there are people that happen to be younger than us that are in this industry. Yes. And I feel there's a lack of comprehension around what flexibility means. And so I like that you just pointed out, hey, this doesn't mean I'm not working. It means I'm working around things and the work is still getting done. And I think that's a piece that I hope new agents hear is flexibility is for sure something that's afforded in this industry when you've earned your way to sustainable business. Yeah. And you still have to work around that flexibility. It's not like flex, you're not working for 3 days.
Right. And it takes discipline to get there. Even when I started as a full-time agent, going from I know exactly what's going to happen every hour of my day to, I'm in charge of every hour of my day.
Right.
And so it's becoming very regimented and disciplined around what flexibility is, which sounds weird, right?
Yes.
Regimented flexibility, but it is really what it is.
Right. I was sitting in here the other day talking with Justin about the fallacy around you join real estate and all of a sudden you just have so much freedom of time. You can do whatever you want. And it's something that I have worked tirelessly, especially as a mom, as a wife, as a business owner, to help people understand, yes, there's flexibility, but your time is not just free.
Right.
You are strategically placing that time and your working hours in places that allow you to get the results that you want. This is not, don't work for half the month and expect a month full of results.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. Unless you've built your business up and it's sustainable and you have leverage. You can get there.
Right.
It is possible.
But you have to work to get there.
You got to get there.
You got to work to have flexibility.
Yes, exactly. Now, you're like me. You have children ages that are young adults down to young kids. What would you say being in this career and earning your way, talking about that subject? This is totally going off real estate for a second here, just because I'm curious. How are you navigating today's world with understanding in your own transitions and understanding what it takes to be successful today versus what it looks like on social media versus what they think they know because of access points? How do you handle that as a parent?
As a parent, we have lots of conversations.
Just tons of communication.
Tons of communication. We live in a world where everything is right at fingertips.
Yes.
Right? Like they don't know the pain of the phone on the wall and who's going to pick up that in the middle of your conversation.
And they don't pick up and then you ride your bike over there.
Yes, exactly. But it's just constant conversations. And it's so funny to watch. I have 5 kids, right? Like all of them have different personalities and it's a different conversation with every single one of them.
Right.
Right. My 20-year-old is very much a millennial.
Yes,
like,
they know.
they know everything.
They probably know more than you.
Yes,
yes.
and these are all the things, and it's like, okay, let's take a step back and talk about
Right.
this. It's hard work. You have to do the things. It doesn't just get handed to you.
And I think that is so critical is the communication part, is making sure that we're slowing down and we're going. I feel like our patience as parents is like quadrupled in what's required because of the amount of conversations we're now having to have with the young adult because of the world they grew up in. Like, I know you think you know that, which is very psychologically bizarre, right?
Right.
But you don't. Like, that's not actually real.
Right.
And I know you saw it with your eyes, you heard it with your ears, but that's social media.
Yes.
That was YouTube. That's not real.
Yeah.
I'll give you a great example. My oldest son came to me and he said, "Mom," he worked at a dealership. And he said, "Mom, one of the sales guys came to me and he knew my parents were in real estate and started asking me a bunch of real estate questions. And he said, man, I know you can make about it like $1 million net first year in real estate. And I just think I'm going to go get my license and I'm going to go do that. What do you think?" So Jake's asking us these things. He's like, how many houses do you have to sell and make $1 million? And Justin and I had to take a minute and not laugh because they really do on YouTube, on social. You see all these things. We got billboards in our own town saying you want to be a quadruple zillionaire or whatever.
Right.
Come on over. And I get it, right? It looks real. And I suppose it's not impossible, but it takes far more than they could ever fathom or comprehend. And so we were trying. It took us weeks to get to a point where he's like, "Okay, I get it. So in Southeast Michigan, average price point is $250K. That would take, X amount of homes. And being brand new, you're going to lose 90 to 6 months of transition period."
Yeah.
So you really have 6 months to execute at a super high level if you're lucky.
Right.
Just took probably 15 conversations to get there.
Yeah.
Versus like when I was a kid, if I had an idea, I'd come to my dad and ask, and he'd be like, "That's not how it works." I'd be like, "How does it work?" He'd tell me how it works, and that would be it.
Right.
Okay, now I know. But there was no refuting, rebuttal.
No, there was nothing. No, this is how the world works. Got it.
Yes.
Understood.
It just fascinates me.
It is really, really interesting to me to just how much information consumption and then having to peel apart every level of that story so that kids have the real vantage point of what they heard.
Yes, and what it will take and how they could get to wherever they want to go.
Yes. It's going to take hustle to get there.
Absolutely. That never goes away.
It doesn't just get handed to you.
Exactly.
You got to work.
Yes, exactly.
I have my daughter, I took her to work with me many years ago, but she wrote me a note after she went to work with me one day. She goes, "Mommy, you work so hard. I did not know how much it took for you to do your job." And I was like, that's probably the best lesson she has ever gotten, was just to see how it all transpires, right? Like, I don't just leave and come back.
Exactly.
Like, things happen while I'm gone.
Yes.
So,
oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
And I think our sellers and buyers even have the same unfortunate point of view.
Oh, yeah.
They see social media, they see news headlines, they see what their neighbor happened, and they don't understand what actually happened behind the scenes or what's happening in the field. So I think we do have a pretty big duty in front of us to say, like, hey, we've boots on the ground. Homes are still selling every day. Buyers are still getting in at a rate that makes sense. Refis are coming. It's possible, you guys.
right. Yep.
Just sync up with a professional that's willing to educate you, a mom and dad that's willing to educate you. It's no different. It's the same stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's be out in front of it.
That's it. Pin in it. All right.
Communication.
It's everything. Well, Mel, thanks so much for being here. This was awesome. I always love talking to you. How can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook and on Instagram at Mel.Davis_thrive.
Okay.
That's where I'm most active, is on IG. So.
Awesome. And they can keep up with your flip there.
Oh, yeah, lots
They're
of
gonna
stories.
go live soon.
About a week.
Oh my gosh, so excited.
So exciting.
Drop where that's going live.
It is in Royal Oak.
Okay.
Yes.
Royal Oak, great location.
Great location.
Brand new everything. Amazing.
Yes.
I love
Be
it.
great.
Can't wait.